And we are here.
Hey!
Hello, this is Dyanne Klinko, and I have Robert Berry with me. We're going through the process right now of bringing him up, and he should be here right now. Robert, do you see yourself yet?
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
I do. I see myself, but it's on my iPad here in the studio. So, this is as painful as taking pictures. Yeah, I see myself. I hate taking pictures, Dyanne. You know that? When you do an album and you have to take the photos, I go, oh, God, what about those apps they have on the phone that makes you look really like a cartoon or something? They don't have those for professional cameras.
Something besides us that look like, well, it'd be nice to have a cartoon kind of thing, that's for sure. Okay, so here we go. We are live. We are being recorded. So welcome everyone. And we are so happy to have you here. I cannot see Robert, but it could be just due to the fact that I don't have the gallery up and running like I want to. So as long as Robert can see both of us, I
can, yeah.
Let's see. So Robert, how are
Dyanne? I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing absolutely excellent. Getting ready for Christmas.
What? That's Christmas. That's right. Yes, that's coming up in a couple days. I want to say to you that I am so sorry that technology got in our way the other day, because you weren't stressed. You were hanging it really well, but I know it was a stressful situation, and you do such good work, and you're so kind to everybody, and you're in one of the females in the prog world. Come on, how many are there? You can count them on the fingers on about 250 hands, but I felt bad, and you made it happen this time, so that's pretty cool.
I did, and I'd like to hello everyone from Terry. Let me see, I always have trouble with some last names that are long. Schwarzenwalder.
You're supposed to be social distancing. You have all those people in your house?
I know. My house, your studio's been packed.
Not to talk about the studio, but since March, when we kind of got shut down, my business has been maybe 75 to 80% of normal. I've done a couple albums worth of work on my own, so I couldn't totally pack it, but I'll only do one artist at a time. So it's just them and me. It's a big place. You've been here. There's booths that they're worried about it. They can go in a booth and never even see me or anything. I spray it down every day, morning and night, depending on who's, been in that day, with the isopropyl alcohol. I've made it really safe. I've had a great year down here, and people have been doing the thing they love, music. And there's so much struggle in the world emotionally and stuff that it's been really a good year for me as far as the studio. It's made me really happy, and the people that come in happy.
I'm for that. We have, just to interrupt you for a second, we have Robert Schindler. This is Hi Kids. And we have Joe Thompson. Good afternoon. All Merry Christmas.
I'd get rid of I think they're all communists. I'd wipe them right off there right now. It just sounds like a bad group, a bad bunch. No, I'm really happy to. Some names, I recognize some of those names, and good people out there that have not only, like I said, you saw on tour, I walk out, the first thing I say, I got to thank you people. You're my people, the prog people, the people who have supported my music, so I can make a living in music and still do what I do. And I always say in that kind of medium level, I never made it like a yes or all that, but it keeps me hungry. It keeps me working. It keeps me striving to be better. And I feel I'm kind of lucky being bubbling under the Steve Howes of the world and the Keith Emersons,
You really are, to be fortunate enough to have had a career that you really love? I mean, how many of us are doing a job that we either can't stand or sure wish we were doing something different?
Well, hopefully the jobs, it's not they can't stand them, it just doesn't inspire them, and they're making enough money to do the thing they do love. If you're a painter or a musician, sometimes, I mean, look at it this way. I did a thing for Disney a week and a half ago, narration. Now, they're in narrating and, talking, and I'm pushing buttons. Then it took me, the guy did, for an animated thing, comes out next year, I think, did 3 pages of copy, which isn't much. And it took me 12 hours to edit it up there. I'm sitting there cutting up the words. Sometimes there's 4 of the same line, and they would tell me which one they like the best, but we have to save all the bad ones too.
Yeah.
And I'm spending like about 14 hours of my life doing that. So even what I do for my daily Monday through Friday job has things that aren't the most fun, but it's all part of making it where I can tour. I mean, it's expensive, to be a musician.
It is very expensive, and sometimes the payoff from that is very low.
I always tell people that come in, especially I do a lot of the young, like 18 to 22-year-old female artists, their first recording. They'll come in and I'll do their music. If it's hip hop, it's rock, whatever, it's their Sheryl Crow or their Fannie Mae, and I'll say, you're going to fail every day as a musician because you have these dreams and it's hard to get. But that one time a year that something is positive, it'll float you the whole year. It only takes that one positive thing, when you're following your dreams. So
that's so true, isn't it? Now, you know what? We have Bruce O'Sullivan that says Merry Christmas. We have our Rolf. Lemon.
There goes the neighborhood.
He says the same thing you and I said. Robert who?
That's great.
Rolf, you're a scream.
Love it.
And Terry Schwarzenwalder comes back and says, Happy Holidays.
All right. Very good.
That's great. We're getting a lot of people that are coming on now. And in fact, you have a couple of big things coming out. Let's see, Arby Kratz and Lori say Merry Holidays.
Isn't that nice? You think people would say, so what's with this new song and video? That's crap,
But, those holidays. No, I love it because, for this year being such a hard year.
Yes.
All of us for our own reasons. Pardon me. For our own reasons and for our joined reasons. It's been a very hard year. It gets frustrating. We get, what do you call it, cabin fever, everything. And yet people are coming out and they're making sure our holidays do not change. That we're
Yes, and I wanted to say that, and you even went through surgery, right? On top of all this, you have some surgery done.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I hate to bring, but it's been that kind of year, 2020 is the kind of year you want to look back and say, I don't remember any of it. None of it, gone.
No, I just want to get so past it so badly. Now, Rolf sent up your YouTube video, A Fond Farewell.
I was gonna start by talking about the December People video that's out because everybody's wishing me a Merry Christmas, but I gotta say, the Fond Farewell video, I have to give credit to my record company. I'll tell you my idea for the video and what they said. I had 3 big screens behind me while I'm singing, while I'm playing the Moog, whatever it was, and they all had cards on them because actually the song Fond Farewell is about saying goodbye to kindness. When I was young, I wouldn't say, I believe I could say shit, right, on the internet. I wouldn't say that in front of my parents. And then
Ooh.
I wouldn't say a lot of things, right? But especially the F word, let's say, that wasn't even thought of. Now, the kids, my son, you know, the 20 or something, 30 somethings, F is like the word, right?
Oh,
And,
no. I remember the first time, I think I was in the 8th grade, when it slipped out at the dinner table.
oh yeah, you couldn't say that. But now they say it. And it's like saying shit back, you know, when in the 70s, whatever. So my whole thing, I'm sitting there thinking, you know, people are so mean, and I don't know if they're conscious of what they're doing on the internet, what they're saying when they're faceless and all this. And I thought, oh my God, you know, I wouldn't say the F word to my parents. And now I even say it. Sammy Hagar taught me to say it. So he says it all the time. But my point being, if we say goodbye to kindness now, like we are, in 10, 15, 20 years, will that be the norm? And it really kind of hit me. I went, oh my God, you know, because everything's accepted more and more as we go along. Things get looser and looser and looser, and everything's okay, right? No problem, it's okay. But I don't think we want to say goodbye to kindness, do we?
You know, the respect for your elders and knowing that these words are unacceptable to your elders and parents, it makes it, I think, kind of sad that that part of it has disappeared. Remember way back when you'd go to the front door to see your friend, and you'd be like, you know, hi, Mrs. Smith, can you come out and play? And now it's,
Yeah.
hey man, is work around?
Well, now we text our kids in the next room. You know, my son's here at the studio working with me. And I text, hey, Robert, what about, you know, when I could just walk out there and talk to him. So the song's about saying goodbye to kindness, really. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope we have a reboot of our senses. We realize what we're doing. So I was going to have these 3 things behind big screen TV, like big ones, and playing cards are going to come up. Actually, I was going to have 5 of them because I had to do a full hand or a full house, whatever it's called. I'm not a gambler. Well, I guess I am a musician, but so, you know, and I was saying something, maybe not that I wanted to use Hitler, but to be like 2 Hitlers and a Stalin was, you know, some kind of card hand. And then all of a sudden there'd be something positive back there and the lights would light up, a whole thing. And that wasn't the whole part of the video, but it was like I thought the interesting part to show where how easily we can accept things. So I sent the thing to the record company and they say, we hate that, right? And when I look back at what they did and what my idea was, I kind of hate my idea too. They said, do you mind if we try something? I said, no. What do you have? They're in Italy, you know, Frontiers Records. They came up with, I think, a really cool idea, even though it's not about kindness. It's about, boy, if we keep getting meaner and say goodbye to everything, you got to go to the space station if you want to, you know, live and be happy. And all of a sudden the thing blows up and this one guy's left. Oh my God, you know, I mean, they're way past what my song was about, but it still had the same feel. And I was so happy with that video. Also to that song that they picked that. Again, they picked that we got to put that out first. We really like that big keyboard sound and it's in 7, you know, and I was okay, because an artist is the last one to know what the best thing on an album is, right? We're so deep in it, we can't even think. So they picked the song, they did the video, and I had to run it past Rolf to make sure everything was okay because I can't make a move without him, you know.
Oh, you're in charge. You're the boss.
Oh yeah, he's the boss. And anyway, Rolf's been a great friend and a great part of this whole 3 and 3.2 thing. But anyway, so that's where Fond Farewell came from, what it means. That's how the video happened. I'm so excited that they took the sci-fi route because, see, I'm the only prog guy that's not a Star Trek fan. I mean, I don't mind Star Trek, but I'm not a big fan, right? And they hit it right on the head. Sci-fi and prog goes together.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. Good stuff.
Frank, I gotta almost spell this one.
Oh, it's German, isn't he? Oh, that guy.
I want to say he's sending greetings from Germany.
Yeah, you got to watch him. He's a sneaky guy. You got to watch him.
You
Yeah,
guys, Frank, we welcome you and are so happy that you're joining us from Germany. This is very exciting to get people from around the world to tune in and get to know Robert better and hear what he has to say. We've got some fun stuff to talk about.
Don't ask Frank. Don't ask Frank about Mustang cars. The whole thread's going to go down. He'll start in. Trust me.
Okay. Well, Rolf also says checks still in the mail.
Is that the one to him or the one to me?
No, that's a good question. Rolf, are you expecting a check? Is Robert getting behind? Oh.
You know, that's something, Dyanne, funny you say that, because one of my pet peeves is people paying their bills on time. And I try to pay people right away because I think it makes them, even if they trust me, it makes them super comfortable. And if I say, hey, can we do this? They know that if I owe them money, it happens, you know. In Rolf's case, I owe him so much money I could never pay him. So I just said, forget it.
Well, Rolf says Mustangs and chickens.
Ah, there you go.
There it is. You know, you also have a great album that I've heard, your first release of the song, and it's from the new album, The Power of 3.2.
Now, are you talking about the last album, which is The Rules Have Changed? Or the new album?
The last album, The Power of 3.2.
Well, the Power of 3 was the first album with Keith, Carl, and myself.
Right.
The Rules Have Changed, which is a title I came up after we lost Keith, because I went, oh my God. Yeah. It was such a struggle for me. And all of a sudden that song, and it came out. I went, oh, wow, that's got to be the title. That was the second album, which is the first time when Keith and I decided to use the 3.2 moniker, which is the second version of 3. The two of us doing it. Carl didn't want to be involved. He was so busy. You know, it was not, he gave us his blessing, but so for all kinds of reasons, it was to me, the second album in the 3 series. And that's why this one's called Third Impression, because I felt I wasn't going to do a third one. The record company says people really loved it. You got to do one more. I had one more song left that Keith and I wrote. It was too long for the last album. It's called Never. It's almost like a couple seconds off of 10 minutes. It is classic Emerson, especially in the middle solo sections. It's just really great piece. It could be the best of the bunch next to Desde La Vida. I mean, it is really a great song. I should have put it on the last one, but it just kind of didn't fit. You know, it was just too much. And so when they said, we really want you to do this, I thought, you know, if I finished that piece, and then, of course, I thought there should be 3 albums for the band 3 in terms, and people say, well, this isn't really the band 3, except for that I was the singer of the band and sort of half the writer. Mm-hmm. So I'm the only one that could sort of carry the torch and complete that. So I don't feel disingenuous about it, but I am using this also as a transition kind of to what I'll do in the future. So half this is classic 3 sounding like Fond Farewell, but has a tougher kind of rhythm, because we were, you know, Keith and I wanted to have a stronger rhythm. And then half of it is a little more like maybe GTR, has a little more guitar in it and keyboard mix. So I'm wondering what people are going to think. Now, I will tell you, and I shouldn't tell anybody this because Rolf's going to get in trouble, but Rolf has heard the whole thing. I couldn't put it out without checking with him. Just because I was so worried. Oh no, an album's going to come out. What are people going to think? Oh my God. So Rolf didn't talk to me for 2 days, I think it was. I said, Rolf, what's going on? Rolf, help. What do you think? I'll have to let him type that on the thread, because we'll see if I owe more money.
Does he owe you?
Yeah, we'll see. If he puts up a $, then you know the review's not coming out till I pay him.
Well, I'm waiting to see from him. Let's see, what do we have here? We have a couple more things. Frank Moltrecht. I think I'm pronouncing the last name right. And Frank, I apologize if I'm not. Oh, Robert Berry. This is mouth-watering.
Frank said he used to call himself my only German fan, I think, or the top German fan. And Frank and I had many conversations. And I was supposed to go to Germany this year. I'm trying to put it behind the European tour is supposed to happen. Going to Germany, hoping to get picked up at the airport in a Mustang. And Rebecca has a boy that she raised in her past life, who was an exchange student and thinks of her as his mom, who's a German guy. Martin's fantastic guy. Hoping to meet him in person for the first time too. And then I forget what it's called, some kind of virus or something hit. I don't know. It's no big deal. I can't remember the name. Oh, yeah, COVID. Yeah, that's it. not to joke about it, but the quicker we can put it behind us, the better, which we're hoping. Anyway, I was going to go Italy, Netherlands, Germany, England. I mean, all over. And what was nice for me, it was the first time, as uncomfortable as I am having my name in the marquee. I'm more of a team player. I'm a band guy. I like to work with, Andrew Collier and Jimmy Keegan, Paul Keller. I love that. And you saw it. You know how good they are.
Oh,
it's still
amazing musician, just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't ask. I mean, they played the stuff tremendously, and
they all sing. I mean, you've got all kinds of backup in there, and what Jimmy did part of, I believe, Carnival Mine.
Yeah, I mean, and Andrew, of course, is playing Jordan Rudess's parts based on Keith, which is even harder than Keith's parts. I was like, oh my God. And he did it.
Figured that. What is it? I was talking to him and I go, how do you do, two different keyboards? You've got a computer to watch. Yeah. You've got something in front of you here, a screen to watch. You've got all these pedals on the floor and you've got this long thing that I can't remember the name of it, but
that sounded wrong, because I was going to bring that up, that's what he uses to push the pedals with.
Oh. I love the way he just brings his hand across like that, and then you can hear it.
Yes.
Keyboards, and it's like, man, this is as close to Keith as you're going to get. I mean, Andrew's is such a talented man, and he's got his own band, Circuline, that is absolutely amazing. Any prog person needs to check that out too.
Did you see the post when we were in New York and he was taking his vitamins? Did you ever see that I did? Probably not. It was early on before the tour started. Mm-hmm. And I'm over there and we're taking a break from rehearsal and he has, I'd say 25 vitamins. So I go with my camera. Oh, here's Andrew's taking his vitamins. I said, what do you got going there? I thought it'd be interesting. Right? So I put my FaceTime on. He goes, well, this one is for the heart and this one is for, the little toe. Here's one for the big toe. And then after about 8 of them, he goes, and this one is to help you with the other vitamins. I said, well, let's stop right there. I said, that's a vitamin for the vitamins? He goes, yeah, well, it can take a lot in your stomach, all these vitamins. So you have to take a pill to, I said, okay, I'm going to cut this off. That just seems way over the top. That's Andrew. He is over the top. He's such a great musician. He's a doctor, fantastic, nice guy, really dedicated. We're working on the Prog Stock Live DVD right now. And he, calls me asking about this and that, what's going on. And he stays on top of things, and really an asset to a band, really.
Such a great guy to talk to. When I met him, I was just like, I was so impressed. I felt like, I found a friend. That's just how he talks to you. Just so warm.
Yeah. Yep.
And
really good guy.
Warm. Rolf is back.
Oh, geez.
He says to you, when we were talking about money,
Yes.
he's selling copies on eBay.
Rolf, if I remember right, he has some of the vinyl albums where the edges got damaged a little bit. He goes, I'll put on eBay so people don't want to spend as much money, they get them cheaper. I said, okay, because then shipping, sometimes the cardboard gets banned. It's not a big deal, but people want pristine ones. I still have, I have 300 of those. I've sold 200 because I haven't really pushed it hard. I thought only the people that really find it can order the vinyl from me. And I sign it, and I have a special 3 guitar pick and this postcard of all the stuff on it. And I don't want to push it like I'm the vendor for the Rules Have Changed album. So I pressed 300. The record company let me do it myself because I wanted it to be hands-on. And I've sold 200 of them. But I don't even know how many were sort of damaged. Rolf might have 5 or 6. I thought, well, great, put them out there. Why not?
I think we'll be talking. I don't have that yet. That's definitely something that I would be interested in. But Rolf comes back and he says, great album. Third impression, every song is well constructed. Robert Berry meets Prague in 2021 head on. That's right, Rolf. You just keep them going, because that's exactly it.
Oh, look at here! Oh, here it comes through on my phone. There's Rolf's invoice. Yep, he wants $3,000, Rolf. What?
Rolf, you take no side steps, man. It's just boom.
Rolf is not only very, very intelligent and a great musician, but his sense of humor is really special. I get a kick.
I love it. I have talked to Rolf, kind of briefly on Paul's Patreon page.
Yeah.
And Paul runs like different things, like Sundays, a silent movie, and
right,
gives you information and whatnot. So
here's what I'd like to do, because I can't do it. Could you pronounce Paul's last name for me? Oh, that was throwing you under the bus, wasn't it, Dyanne?
Let me try. Bella
Lugosi, I think it is.
Bella, something like that, I think.
All beat. What a great, talk about nice people and great musicians. He is amazing. I did an interview on his show with him, and I couldn't stop talking about him and what he does with Carl. And he is really amazing.
He's so easy to talk to. I mean, you can ask him about anything, and he just puts it right out there. Like he has his whole heart out there, for anybody that'll listen, and it's just so wonderful.
Really great musician.
I think he's amazing. I think it's amazing. I think I've done a Q&A with him now twice, and lots of fun. Yeah. Oh, by the way, everyone who's putting out there on the feed, don't forget, you got to challenge Robert, because he's pretty sharp about a lot of things. But there's got to be something out there that somebody can ask that'll make him really have to think. So
really score
questions like Buzz has. He has 2, if you would like to hear them.
Oh, gotta go. See you later.
Let me see. There it is. Sorry, I got everything kind of down around me. Let's see. Buzz.
Talk about troublemakers. That Buzz. You got to watch him.
You got to watch him like I'll tell you, Buzz is great. He's so.
I should mention Buzz Delano knew Keith for some other reason, which I don't know, but When before Three went on tour, we went to LA, played our first gig. Before we had rehearsed, they said, "Do you know Fanfare?" "Yeah, I played in my local band, cover tune." "Yeah, okay, and we'll do Honky Tonk Train Blues." "Okay, yeah." Then we did Satisfaction or something with a whole bunch of people at a record company party at the Roxy, and Buzz was there and took the only picture from that thing, that first performance where we didn't even know what we were going to play. And then years later, he sent it to me and we got to be friends. I go, "Oh my God, this is fantastic." I'm there with Kevin Cronin. Oh, I saw her standing there, Kevin and I did. And Keith's playing piano and Carl's playing drum. It was really something, but it was gone forever, lost forever. And Buzz comes along with a picture of it. It's fantastic.
Well, that's wonderful. Buzz was great. I mean, I really enjoyed, I was hanging around with him at the last NAMM show.
Yeah.
And in fact, funny story about the two of us taking a ride back because it was so crowded and we were trying to get to our car. So we took one of those bicycle cabs.
Yeah.
Lights all around it and stuff, and play the music. And he was like, I don't know, Mara Andretti or something, but he was going up the sidewalk, he was going up past people, he was going into cars, and Buzz and I are just totally freaked out. Buzz will tell you, it was a nightmare ride. It really was scary. And we wondered if we were getting back to the hotel.
I better answer his question then. What was his question?
Let's see. Let me see. I'm trying to find it now here. I just saw it a minute ago too. Let me see.
He's slippery, that Buzz.
I know he's very slippery, but I absolutely love. Oh, here it is. Okay, a couple of questions to send to Robert. What's the best way to say blah, 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 blah? Hi, Dyanne. Here are 2 questions for Robert. 1, what was Keith's mood when you last were writing with him?
That's a good question. You know, I talked a lot about this during the Rules of Change release. And now at this last song, Never, it's called Never on this album. It was a little bit tough when I delivered the album to Frontiers because, you know, you hold on to things. It's like in my world, Keith, I had this piece of music was sort of still alive and we had this thing together, and now it's going to go out and that's the last piece I have from, right? So when we were doing it though, and I've said this before, I felt like that was his happy place. I had no idea, none, that he was despondent in other areas of his life. Sure, he had played, and I always forget the name, the Live Wire Fest, whatever it was that ELP did in England, and people had sort of given him some bad reviews about his playing. And of course, like, well, Keith, you could still play better than me with one hand. I mean, are you really going to let that bother you? You know, and he said, yeah, it was okay. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, but it was okay. So he wasn't totally devastated about that. Again, I had got us a lot of money from Frontiers because they wanted this next 3 album. They had been bugging me for 15 years to do it. And I said, Keith won't do it. He just won't do it. People left a bad taste about it. They criticized it. They criticized him playing songs. They never criticized Carl because he played in Asia, which did songs, right? But they criticized Keith. But he was
fans, correct?
What?
These were the critics, not the fans.
No, these were a couple of guys that were fans that criticized when the first 3 in 1988. They criticized Keith. How dare you have female background singers in the band? You shouldn't have that. And that one guy posted at one time, hey, I was the guy that said that to Keith. Well, those things really bothered him. Keith was the best, not because he had an ego to be the best, because for himself, he had to be the best. That was who he was and what he wanted to be and who he was, right? There's nobody like him. Nobody practices in front of the fire with the keyboard backwards all the time. Come on, you know? And when people knock him down, he took it hard, you know? But again, this was his happy place. You know, I always say this, I have the piano here. in front of my Pro Tools. If I can just turn it on. Come on, how come you're not working? Right when I need it to work, it doesn't work, right? So, we'd be working and he'd be playing me stuff. He'd be playing him stuff. We'd be compositing these things. He had a lot of money coming from Frontiers. This was a happy place, a happy time musically. But then, especially when we'd hang up the phone, let's say, like we're doing now, Dyanne, you and I can write a song right now. You pull your guitar out there. I got my piano. We could do it, right?
Oh, cool.
And I can record the audio and then figure out how to edit it around, and then we'll perfect it later on. But we could do it. But I didn't realize
lyrics. I used to love poetry.
Yeah.
So and yes was a big thing for me when I was in the 7th grade. And I mean, I was so into John Anderson's style of lyrics that I was basically in the same genre of his style.
Yeah.
I was making up my own lyrics, but my problem was this: I didn't know how to put music to it.
Yeah.
And
there's sites for people that do lyrics and people that want their music that don't do lyrics. They put them all together now. I mean, it's done online, Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Anyway, Keith was happy about this. He really was. And it was other things that I didn't know about at the time. I didn't know that he just got a doctor had told him about impending heart problems.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he had sort of taken himself off of antidepressants. Of course, we all know that's not a bad thing or not a good thing to do. I didn't know those things because we were making an album. We were both like, God, this is pretty. And then, of course, because of Rolf, the 3 Facebook page, people were starting to say, hey, you got to revisit this album. This album from 1988 has some good stuff on it. There was a positive resurgence for what wasn't accepted, at least by the ELP and Yes fans, let's say back then. The pop world, the rock stations and stuff, we had a top 10 song, so they accepted it, the new people. But it was the ELP fan of the day who was not ready for Keith to make that transition. So anyway, Keith, it was good. He was in a good mood, happy. You might see in the Powerful Man video that Keith asked me to go to San Francisco, and him and Greg were touring, just the 2 of them, to be part of his documentary, which is going to be a great thing if that can ever come out. The tribute concert was okay, but nobody involved in Keith's band. Carl wasn't there. I mean, that's a whole different deal. But the documentary is real people and Keith being interviewed and stuff. And David Woodward, I hope that it comes out at some point because there's some great stuff in there. Anyway, he asked me to come and be in it. So I'm sitting in the dressing room and Keith comes along. He goes, Robert, what are you doing here? Like he's a big surprise, right? And we talked about things, but he grabs my goatee at the time. He goes, Rebecca's a keeper, lose the beard, right?
Made that gift from? Were you guys?
Yes. Yeah. No, it was such good memories. And now that Never, this song is on the album. Once that's released and out there, and I think people are going to really love it. It's the last song on the album, so I have to get through the rest of the stuff to hear it. But they're going to love it. And it's a little bittersweet for me because that's the last thing I can do with Keith.
Yeah. I remember being in the studio and looking at the keyboards and piano Keith had sat down to work on.
Yeah.
And kind of touched my soul a little bit. And it was surreal. Thinking that, I'm in the same room with the great people. I've got you who's showing me around and all these different artists and been to Keith's area of where he used to hang out in.
We 3 rehearsed here for our tour. We actually tore everything apart and rehearsed in the big room,
Yeah.
Cool. I think I showed you the list that Carl is still on the wall in there, where he had all the songs, the set list, and he had what had to happen with his electronic drums, all things for his roadie. It's still on the wall in there.
Yeah, yes, I think you did show me that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also surreal to me. It's just all like I've just gone back in time, and this is where Keith plays, and this is where Carl probably played, and
Yeah.
you know, and you play over here, and you guys together were working on the boards and doing all the editing, and
You can feel it when you walk in this room that, I mean, Greg Kinn's are in every Thursday. We're writing a new album. Gary Peel from Boston, Sammy Hagar's old band, they're always in here. David Lauser, you know, the guys on December People, you know, the Tubes, you know, Fee and Roger were in. It's been a year and a half now since we finished an album that was recorded in Germany, I believe. We were mixing stuff. I mean, all these musicians, and then I collect everything like guitars and all the keyboards. You know, I have an old ARP 2600, the Oasis that Keith helped me get. I'll never get rid of that. It's such a great keyboard. The Moog. I mean, I keep all this stuff. I don't get rid of it because it always comes back. You know, it's kind of like clothes, right? Aren't bell bottoms in again or something? You know, so I keep it. You feel it when you walk in because it's all still here.
yeah, it is. It's like studio / museum.
Yeah. If we were on FaceTime, people could see it. I'd open the cupboard here where the Steinberger that I got when I was playing with Steve Howe on GTR, and I said, Steve goes, "Oh, that's interesting. I haven't seen one of those." I said, "Yeah, Steinberger." I said, "You want to try it?" He goes, "No, no, that's okay." Then I went to lunch and I come back and he's playing it, right? It's sitting right here. It inspires me. A Strat that he gave me that he signed, Rickenbacker bass that Chris Squire signed for me, that we have the same manager, Brian Lane, and Chris said, "I've never seen one exactly like mine, as far as the feel and the year and everything, you know." All these things are here and you can feel them. You know, it's just, you walk in and it's a creative place with no pressure and things just flow. It's amazing.
You just sit there, you stand there in front of each one of these um, bases for me, and Chris Squire just stands right out.
Oh my God,
And
yes.
just seeing Chris's signature on this Rickenbacker, it just
Yeah.
it's just gave me goosebumps then, and it gives me goosebumps now.
And he didn't want to sign it. He goes, "Let me sign the pick guard." I said, "No, I want you to sign on the wood." He goes, that'll wreck it. In the wood, it'll never come out. Exactly. I mean, McCartney and Squire, those are my two idols on the bass. They're both
Yeah,
great at note choices.
yeah,
Squire's more aggressive. I like to play aggressive on the bass, and his tone is cool. McCartney, just genius note choice and what the bass, it changed bass for everybody with what he did with the Beatles, doing different notes and all the stuff he did is incredible. So to have that, and of course, that sits right next to my Hofner bass, which is like McCartney. These are all little things that mean something to me that no one would ever know when they walked in here. But there's Squire and McCartney next to each other, basically, in my mind, you know. A picture of Keith, Carl, and I from our video is on the wall from Serwin Vega. No one knows that Serwin Vega sponsored our tour and gave us all the speakers and everything we used, and had stacks in the Talking About video. You can see if you look at that, stacks of Serwin Vega cabinets behind us that Keith and I used. And I have a picture that they used at the NAMM show. You mentioned the NAMM show. That is the coolest transition with dots and stuff of Keith, Carl, and I, and one of our dancers in the video.
no,
It's so cool. It means something to me when I walk in. I don't even have to look at it. I just feel the support and the years of working with great people and the inspiration musically. It's weird because I always have ideas. If like I say, if you want to write a song right now, okay, I like your Christmas tree. Let's see, what is that on there? Oh, candy canes. Okay, the candy canes on Dyanne's Christmas tree. You know, there's always ideas.
you know, and I've got up here. I'm going to get up for a second here. I actually moved this over for something else I was recording,
Well, it's a nice background.
but of course, you know,
Oh, yes. Yep, those are beautiful, aren't they?
they really are. Where's Roberts?
Now, you make sure you hang that up safely, because if it drops on my dime here, I'm in trouble.
I'm telling you, and I've got nothing but wood floors. drop it.
You know, I guess that was one of those things. If you think it's going to happen, and I thought it, so I'm sorry. I apologize.
Put this down until I have free hands because I do have just a wood floor, so it would break.
Good catch.
More questions
Okay.
and comments. Let's see what we've got going on here. Let me see. Brian O'Sullivan, Rolly Keyboard, I think it's called.
Yes.
Okay. And then we have Frank Molchek. Is that right?
I've never asked him how to pronounce his last name. I call him Frank Mustang. No, I don't. I just call him Frank.
He wants to know who he's rolling.
Oh, another German. Watch out.
And then Frank also asked, will it be the same live band?
Definitely.
Good.
I mean, first of all, let's take Andrew. I was watching and listening to some of the Circuline stuff, and Andrew came to me at a December People show in, I don't even know what the year was, but it was 10 years ago, let's say. And he comes up and he's a friend of my wife's brother, Ron Matthews, and I don't really know him that well. And he goes, how do you get back in the music business? You know, I've been a doctor for a long time. I want to get back into playing. I'm thinking, oh boy, another one of these guys, you know, they missed their 20s or 30s and their 40s. Now he wants to get back in music. I said, well, Andrew, you just do everything you can. You write, you have to sing, you record, you perform, everything you can. Son of a gun, if he didn't do all that and more. And then I'm hearing these albums, I'm going, this guy's really good. So I called him. And there was a lot of different keyboard players I was considering, but I needed a guy that not only could play great, but sort of needed to make a name for himself. So when I said, you need to be truthful and honest to the memory of Keith, this has to be done the way Keith would do it, not the way you would do it. Like if I asked Jeff Downs, which I wouldn't, but you know, Jeff's not going to really play for Keith. Jeff will put himself into it. And Andrew, I thought, as a new upcoming guy, good enough and smart enough and energetic enough and all those vitamins, you got to like that. He said yes right away. He goes, oh my God, that'd be great. Of course, then he listened to Carnival 9 for real and realized what he had to do. But then again,
he must have gone like.
But you know, it's intuition, it's fate. I don't know. I just knew that Andrew was capable of all that. And he's doing the Jordan Rudess version. That's really, really tough. Really tough. So
I just watching him at that show in San Pedro, and just watching him.
And the Rolly is the black keyboard that he leans over. So you saw him playing that too. That's the Rolly somebody asked about. Fantastic. And it's rubber and it feels weird and you got to bend it with your finger sliding over and stuff. And he plays that thing so well. It's amazing.
Natural. And then let's not forget that instrument that he puts over his shoulder.
The keytar, yes. The
keytar.
Yeah, and he did that, of course, because Keith, Carl, and I both, of course, I had the bass, but Carl had a drum machine, the Dynacord, whatever it's called, rhythm stick, that was like a guitar, and Keith got a keytar, and we all got together in front of the stage. I got a picture here of that is so cool that no one's ever seen. And first of all, Carl would bang on my bass with the drumsticks, and I would hit his rhythm Dynacord thing, and then Keith would be jamming away. So Andrew wanted to have that kind of thing for 8 Miles High. So he got that going, and then he had it painted special. And oh my God, he was so dedicated and still is. And, you know, and look at Jimmy Keegan. And again, Andrew's idea, he goes, you know, this guy, Jimmy Keegan's pretty good. So, well, duh, yeah, it's Spock's beard and he sings like a bird. I wonder if he'd be interested. I go, why would he, right?
What a voice.
Oh, yeah. And what a player, you know, and I called him, Andrew called him, and he said, I'd love to do this. No, oh, cool. And how do you replace a guy like that, a drummer that sings the high parts effortlessly and can play all the stuff, you know?
He can sing out. When I was watching you guys kind of warming up, or you just
Yeah.
putting your equipment together, and you guys were just kind of talking back and forth, and it was talking about a song, and Paul was asking about, how do you go from one octave to the next octave when you're playing in this octave, and
Yeah.
Jimmy's like right there going, singing it the same octave, and then he goes up one octave, and he is just on point. It's just like no music, no nothing. He just sings it right out, and it's just
So,
powerful.
you talk about Disney that I did stuff with. Jimmy was at Disneyland and kind of a Disney actor musician, and of course, I think he was in a Sly Stone movie. He was an actor, child actor, and he has all kinds of experience. That guy, and his stories and stuff are fantastic. But he's a top-notch musician in every aspect. And then you get on. You mentioned Paul. I've been with Paul 40 years. I mean, Paul knows everything I've ever written. He's played every song. He's been in every band, including 3. He was our touring guitarist. He's a perfectionist.
Yeah,
how could I do? Yeah, how could I do that without a guy that knows me and the music that well? Yeah, it wouldn't happen. It'd be something would be different. And it was important to me that the band gave the audience what they had never heard before, the music they heard on CD, but live. And it needed to resemble that, and at least be at a 90% level of what they were expecting, because it's never been done. The GTR songs never done live before. My solo career, Can't Let Go from the Frontiers, my first solo album with them, never done live before. It had to resemble that, and it did. And the live Prog Stock album, not the Prog Stock was the high point of the tour as far as the crowd and everything, and meeting Michael Sadler from Saga. I mean, I love Saga, and all the guys, Eric Norlander's last performance as Rocket Scientist, all these things, and these guys that I know a little bit, have heard of, whatever, they were all there. And our live album is really quite good. I have to blow Andrew's horn again, because when you have the kind of keyboard rig he has, it's computerized, and everything is it's programs in the computer. The Moog is a model of a Moog in the computer, because on touring you can't bring all that stuff unless you're Keith Emerson. So Andrew has it all in there, probably 1,000 different synthesizers and sounds in his computer, and all the keyboards trigger it. Well, an hour and a half before we were to go on for a headlining slot on a Friday night at Prog Stock, all the software became unauthorized. The stuff was dead. He had nothing. An hour and a half before we're supposed to start. And he was really stressed. He got on his computer. He started authorizing all the software, blah, blah, blah. We were about 20 minutes late starting. I can't imagine. That'd be like all my bass strings breaking on the first note of the set, and I had to replace them. I'd be a little rattled, Yeah. He played. I don't know how he did it, but when you hear this Prog Stock DVD, you see it. He's smiling. He's playing Carnival 9. No one else to blame. Talking about he's got it all going. I'm like, son of a gun. That guy, he just put it out of his mind and said, I'm going to put my positive thinking cap on. This is what I love to do. That was 2 minutes ago. That it was stressful. This is now. It's an amazing performance.
I remember watching you guys, and you were up to your last song, and of course Andrew starts out with the Carnival #9 famous intro, and I shut my eyes and I felt like I was listening to Keith. I felt like I was back in 1970. The crowd around me that was at the club, they got kind of quiet, and they had been talking like you were at a 1970 concert. I mean, people are talking about past experiences and what's going on, and being in the nightclub didn't matter, because you just get pushed back. into time. And I mean, I got these tears of memories and these tears of complete joy of listening to that intro alone. And I knew I was going to be in for a party. I just knew it. I absolutely was just like, this is going to be amazing. And it was.
You know what was really nice for me is Magna Carta Records is what I did Carnival 9 and Roundabout and Minstrel in the Gallery. And I reworked them to have a tougher rhythm because that's what I like, the drums, the bass, and the guitar, you know. And Carnival 9 was definitely that. And of course, Jordan Rudess did the keyboards on it. But people didn't come to see us like we were a tribute band because we weren't. We were playing my versions, which were totally worked up differently, but paid respect to the original.
Yeah.
And they liked them. They came, they didn't say, well, you ruined Carnival 9. They said, God, I've been wanting to hear that live, you know, and I love what you did with that. And the band really was just cooking away. And the reward, Dyanne, I can't even tell you, for the first time, people are come up and saying, I'm so glad to get to see you live. You know, you've been part of the soundtrack to my life because I've had your music. And sure, it's not ELP numbers. There's not 150, 500,000 people saying that, but I don't care if there's 150 people in the place we played and one person said that. To me, it was like, wow, I never really thought about that. You know, you make an album, you know, people buy it and they listen to it, but here's people are listening to this in their headphones, in their room, and living wherever it is, and it means something to them besides just, oh, I bought this album by Robert Berry. And it was, you'd think I would have felt that before, but it was different for me, really different.
You know, I know for me, listening to the way you played it and the changes that you made, the complexity of changing, you know, the tempos and just everything that you did a little different that you can tell was just so challenging to do.
And fun. It was a puzzle, like December People. It was a puzzle, you know.
When you guys finished that song, I felt so alive, and I felt like this was a great arrangement. I mean, it was the same, yet it was different. So
yeah,
you
right.
lost that Carnival 9 song sound and meaning, but yet you put in your own twists and turns, and yet you didn't lose any of the what do you call it, the original.
That's where, yeah, what the writers and the players, and that's the trick to it, you know. So many tribute albums, you know, guys will just recreate the song. Well, who cares? If I'm going to hear, like there's been a Yes tribute album out lately, and there was an ELP tribute album, I think, out a year ago or something. Well, who wants to hear? I'll listen to Keith, Carl, and Greg, thank you. I don't need to hear some other people doing it exactly the same as original. So give me something that Keith, like I always thought, I know Keith would like this. I know this is, especially when Jordan Rudess did, because they were friends, you know.
Oh, I know he would have loved this version of Carnival.
Yeah. And it was good to do that. It was great to be able to play the GTR stuff that had never been played out. All that stuff was just tremendous. And so many people, because we had a lot of merch there, because I brought everything over the years that I had left over, you know, and people were in the line, and it wasn't about selling them stuff. It was about connecting with them and shaking their hand and thanking them. And boy, I tell you, across the country, I still can't quite explain how it made me feel. And because I really hate seeing my name on the marquee. I don't need that. I get to do music every day. I'm rewarded in exactly the way I'd like to be rewarded. I get to do what I love. And I don't care if it's working for Mickey Mouse or it's, you know, doing the tube stuff. I love it.
You're doing what you love, and you do it well. You are multi-talented. You play everything from drums to keyboards to bass to guitar. It's amazing how many instruments you can play, and you sing beautifully. It's a big package for you.
Oh, here we go. Another check I got to mail out. Jeez.
Hey, speaking of checks, we have a couple of more comments to make here. We have somebody, I think his name is Paolo Rigoli. And Paolo, if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I'm very sorry. Robert, will you consider playing live in the fabulous track Last Ride into the Sun?
That was, I've spoken about this a lot because for me, the new guy, to have I think our Talking About went to number 7, top 10 US. That was pretty cool. I built a house off what that album and that song did for me that year.
That's
the rest of my friends here in town in music, they still enjoy playing music, but that was like a badge of honor for me that I finally, it's not about the money, but I was dedicated enough and did something enough people liked that I called it the house that Emerson built, right? I couldn't help it. So here we are, and they call me and they say, Keith doesn't want to do this anymore because of the criticism. Well, and in those days, there was no internet. 1988, 89, no internet, and these guys getting letters to him. Why do you have girl background singers? It's cheapening, blah, blah, blah. I'm going, what business is it of yours how Keith Emerson decides to present his art, And remember, Greg did the folk songs. Greg made a lot of money. Carl played in Asia. Asia made a lot of money. ELP made a lot of money, but weren't as wise with it, especially Keith, because he was all about the art. He'd buy a motorcycle on the corner just because he wanted to. And, he needed to make a better living like Carl had. So Keith wasn't selling out. He was just changing stream like Yes and Genesis. And now Keith and Carl were, anyway. Last Ride into the Sun.
Yeah.
They called me and said, Keith, I don't want to do it anymore. You have to come to England to dissolve the company. I said, okay, well, I'm going to write a song that's going to make them not dissolve the company. So I did Last Ride into the Sun, and I worked my butt off. I had these rehearsal tapes and stuff from when we were getting the first album ready. I had some stuff that Carl come up with, some stuff that Keith had come up with, and I wrote this Last Ride into the Sun song, which I thought, how could they resist? This is what we should be doing. And I brought it there, and I said, before we have this meeting, I'd like to play this song because I think we have a reason to continue going. It's financially important. It's artistically important. People like it. I didn't have any idea these guys had written Keith a letter, 2 of them. So I played it, and Keith looked at me. He goes, I still kind of laugh. He goes, Robert, that sounds like me playing. And it was me, right? Because I wrote it with the band. I knew what we were about. I thought I knew where we should be going. And I had a vision, and Carl was supportive. And I said, well, Keith, just think that's me. I can't do what you do. Just think how great it's going to be when you get a hold of it. He goes, no, I'm done. I gave it my best shot because I think that song is, you take Desert La Vida, Last Ride into the Sun, and now the new one, Never. Those are the epitome of what at least Keith and I can do together. And I'm glad somebody mentioned that. To play that live, I had the first time, because it starts as a little bell going thing, I started to cry. I went, oh my God, I never thought I'd play this live. And I'm verklempt, I think is what you call it when you can't sing. And I got to kind of pull it together. I feel it right now, even as I'm talking about it.
Yeah, you can. I know I've felt it a few times during our talk here. And in fact, let's see, Robert Schindler says, yep, it was a panic backstage. I guess he's talking about Andrew and his trying to get his system worked up when we were talking earlier. And we have Terry, who goes back and says, kind of like being on stage in the middle of a song and half of your rig suddenly shuts off just before your solo.
Yeah, exactly. That's where Andrew was before the whole show, and he worked so hard to get it ready, you know.
Oh, brother. And Rolf comes back and says, Gary, let's see, I can't really read that. Gary.
Probably Gary Peel from Boston.
That's cute. Joining Robert in New Hampshire.
Oh, yes, Jerry LaFaro's place.
And meeting Hush member Glenn Gates were there also.
Yeah, you know, that was, I got to say, we were in Canada, and you know, I try not to talk about this, but I was really just stupid with a couple managers. When the rules had come out, I got contacted, and Andrew got contacted. The two of us were talking to people because I need someone to back me up, and he's a smart guy. And we had this guy that was vice president of Polygram Records at one time say, I got to manage you guys. This is tremendous. I mean, you know, this is going to be really big. Everybody loves the album. And I bought into it. I thought, gee, he was with a big record company one time. Cost me $10,000. The guy did zero. I wish you could see me. Zero. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. He did nothing but cost me $10,000. And I felt like such a dope. But then we said, you know, there's this guy that knows how to make a tour happen. And got a hold of him. He goes, yeah, I'll do it. I feel like a dope again. No accounting, no contracts, nothing, still to this day. So that said, that's all fine and dandy. I'm not too old to learn. I can still learn.
I think it happens to all musicians at one point or another. In fact, I guess. What advice can you give these musicians that are watching this interview that either haven't had that happen yet, would like some advice as to how to avoid that from happening?
Well, you know, one thing, a rule that I live by, except for I didn't when the first manager approached me because he was vice president of Polygram Records at one point, is if somebody says they can do something for you, make you money or realize your dream, whatever, they should know that they can make money off it or they wouldn't be contacting you, right? There's money, you know, like Carl Palmer said, don't be afraid to make a small profit. Because I'm not, the money thing kind of bothers me a little bit. You know, I don't do it for the money. I have to get paid to have all this great equipment, but, and, you know, tour and pay the band and all that. But I did not do my due diligence with the first guy. And I was impressed that he's a vice president of a record company of promotions or whatever, a certain time. And he wanted this money to make things happen. Well, you know, if he thought he could make that much money on me the way he's selling me on the whole thing, I shouldn't have given him the $10,000 to make this happen. He should say, look, I'm going to take 20% of it, but I can make this happen. Let them invest their money because I've already invested my art in an album that's out and doing really well. So that's always a problem when someone says, oh, well, I can do this for you. It's going to cost you this much money. Then it's just a job. You know, you want someone that believes in your art and thinks that they can do maybe, let's say somebody wants $2,500 to promote your album. Well, that's not very much money, really. So if they really believe in you, maybe they can make 10,000, maybe 25,000 if they really push it, if they think they can make it, you know, and sell 50,000 albums. You know, they have to believe in you in a different way than just getting paid for this line item. That's one thing. The other thing is don't follow your intuition like I did, like, oh, this guy was vice president of, you know, this has, I thought, well, God, you know, he's connected. That was a mistake that I shouldn't have made. I should have checked him out thoroughly. I did give him checkpoints that he had to hit. I set that up. He did this. And then as they came across and he had an excuse and there was this, how we're going to do this instead, I fell for it. You know, set your goalpost, set the line that gets you there and make sure you hit it. And if you don't, You know, we all want to hear what we'd like to hear is the problem. And I'm no different. I want Dyanne to say, oh, that song, I love that song. But if you say, I don't care for that one so much, but I like that one, well, I can take that. But I'd rather hear you say, oh, everything you do is just wonderful, right? I mean, we're all like that. We want to hear what we want to hear. And
You know,
that's a problem with human nature, I think. And I'm guilty of hearing what I wanted to hear.
I think that we're all like that in whatever we're doing. I think we're all
Sure.
like that. And the whole idea of, I really like your advice about, someone asking you for money, because it's just like anything else that could be a scam that,
Mhm.
oh, we're going to give you $50,000, but we need $10,000 from you first.
Right. I had a scam from England. Some band wanted to come over here. They said, we're going to send you this money, and then we just need you to give 5,000 to so and so. I thought, okay, that seems weird though. I didn't do it because it just felt weird. But what happens is exchange rate changes, and that costs you money, and you've paid somebody else, and they cancel everything out. Oh my God, there's all kinds of scams.
Yeah.
You asked me about that. I want to say LaFaro's, Jerry and Kathleen out there where Gary Peel came and Glenn Gates came. Um, we came from Canada, the worst gigs I've ever played because of the management. And he could not make this promoter over there step up and do what he said he was going to do. And it was, I mean, you're going across the border and you never know if you're going to get back over, even though it's Canada and it's all safe. And I have friends over there, but so we're driving. Oh, it was an 8-hour drive to get to the LaFaro's place, and we get there, and it was just magic. It was the best gig after having the worst gigs you could ever have. Um, and not that the people in Canada were bad. It was just the promoter and the way the venues are set up, and kind of being out there on our own with no help. The people came, but it was just really weird. The Faros were great. The venue was great. The crowd was great. And they were right in our lap, this little stage. And it couldn't have been cooler that it was like that. It was really fantastic. We made some good friends then. They fed us in the morning. We showed up for breakfast in their home. It was just really the greatest. It's really super. And Rolf was there.
Uh,
Yeah.
of course.
And that's where we learned how much trouble he was. And Dwayne Farrell came with him, a friend of mine from California here that we'd become friends through the music. And um, Dwayne printed me a book of his time. He came to 5 or 6 dates with Rolf, and they did the merch and they helped us with everything. And he printed me a book of the photos he took and dropped it off here at the studio. It's sitting here. If like I said, if I could show you things on the video here, I would. It was such a tremendous gift because it's from his viewpoint of coming out with the band, hanging out with Rolf, that's risky business there. You never know what's going to happen. Um,
Yeah, you always got to keep an eye out on them.
Oh, you know it. If nothing else, I've learned that. I might have had 2 bad managers. And by the way, I have a great manager now, and he came to Prague Stock from England. He said, "I've come here to write for Prague Magazine." He goes, "Best set, best music. I just love it. Congratulations." Shook my hand, went home, got a hold of me after the tour is over. He goes, "I'd like to talk to you about something." Well, he manages a big train over in England, which is a band we don't know much about here, but they're huge. Well, they're not huge. They're a cult following that's doing really well, which is more important than being huge. They can still keep their artistic integrity. And he goes, "I'd like to manage you if you're interested." I went, so I checked him out, and he's the real deal. He's been very successful in business. Again, he didn't say, "It's going to cost you 10 grand." He goes, "When you make money, I'll make money." And
I like that.
started working with the record company on my behalf and became part of the team. It was a blessing. I guess I had to learn a couple of hard knocks just to really appreciate the management now as much as I do. His name's Nick, and he's just a really good guy. Yeah, yeah, fantastic.
And thank you. You know, Ralph is definitely keeping up with what's going on.
He's got his meter running. I know what's going on here.
Well, he says, ask Robert about the upcoming song, Emotional Trigger.
Oh,
Very
man.
Easy. What's it about? Where did that come from?
This was pre-Trump era, where social media has gotten much worse, right? But it used to be, I liked to watch CNN, and I would look for things for song ideas, and the local news, see what's going on. I used to like those shows because there was no, at least to me, they didn't have an underlying political viewpoint they were trying to push you in that direction. And the news was still really bad, right? It was emotionally, well, I hate to say it, but there's things like, yeah, what would it be? You know, school shootings are terrible, but they would try to make it as bad. You know, we had one a month ago. You know, it's not bad enough we have one right now. We had a month ago, and the whole world's going to. And they would sort of, as they do, tug at your emotional heartstrings. And I said, "My God, this is triggering me emotionally to write songs I don't want to write. Kind of, you know, I don't want to be all doom and gloom. I want to be positive. Like, not say, not to bring this down, like coronavirus. Okay, there's a vaccine. We're gonna, if we don't get it even till June, okay, so we got another half year. We're gonna get it. And if you don't want to take the vaccine, you stay at home, take care of yourself. If you do, you can get out in public and live normally, hopefully. But that's my hope. There's no guarantees, but my hope was positive. I'm going to live normal, right? And back then, you know, this was written. I wrote this and sent it to Keith. I was talking to him. I said, this song is made for you and me to do on an album because it's Oscar Peterson kind of jazzy. It's got a stand-up string bass, jazzy piano, nothing like 3 at all. But Keith did a lot of stuff that's nothing like ELP, right? He did Honky Tonk Train Blues. That's nothing like ELP music. You know, I love it, right? Greg did a lot of stuff, nothing like ELP. Folk songs, but it still fit into ELP. And I sent it to him, and he called me. He goes, this is really good. He goes, you don't want me playing on this. I said, what? Like, you should do this yourself. Your voice and your piano is the perfect fit. And he was so complimentary. I just kind of hung on to it. And then because of the emotions of this album having Keith and I's last song on it, I thought, you know, that emotional trigger song, that applies even more now than it did 10 years ago whenever I played it for him. I'm going to rework it, make it even better, and it's going to go on this album. And it is totally different from anything I've ever done on any album, let alone a 3 album. So I'm really excited. You know, I had a song on the last album called This Letter. It was a folky kind of tune, like Celtic kind of dun, 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 all guitar. And I thought, people are going to hate this. But at the end, it goes bombastic with the Emerson kind of keyboard stuff. And the first interview I did, I forget the name of the Gold Mine magazine, I think it was the very first interview. I said, well, you haven't said what you like on the album. He goes, well, I got to tell you, he goes, my favorite track, what? This Letter. What? You're kidding. The one I thought everybody was going to hate because it's all acoustic guitar to start with, right? So I'm completely expecting for people to say, this emotional trigger song, why'd you put that on this album? It doesn't fit. But we'll see. You never know. Rolf's the only guy.
Look what ELP did with brain cell surgery, right? They have Takada, which, you know, Carl going nuts with his synths, and Jerusalem. But then they worked in the Sheriff, right? And it's like totally opposite of what the album was where it was going and everything. And then they throw this in, and you're like, whoa, Wes
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing about being the kind of artist you want to be. You have to do the things that you're inspired to do. And the days of Whitesnake and all that packaged, journey and all that, um, that's sort of changed with the new music. There's all kinds of different stuff going on. It all seems to have an audience. There's still a great 80s kind of thing in Europe for the Whitesnakes and even Asia of the world, but artists can stretch out a little bit more now and do what they want to do in so many ways that we're seeing some real creative stuff happening. And progressive rock seems to make a resurgence now. There's a bigger audience, younger too.
Yes, and I think that with prog, the more people that get involved with prog, the more variety they're going to see on all kinds of different bands where they're mix and matching, and it's not all one genre of music. It's broken up a little bit. Maybe you get a love ballad, and then they're doing some more aggressive stuff with big sound and whatnot. So
Yeah.
it's I like it. I really like it. Like what album? Well, let's see. I'm trying to think now of ELP's album with Lucky Man on it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't all the same type of songs, the same music. It just kind of comes out, Greg's country.
Yeah, definitely.
Just
In fact, ELP wasn't the same kind of music at all from anything else that was going on, totally different.
could expect you never could predict
That's right.
what they were going to do.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And even yourself, when I saw you guys, I couldn't predict how you guys were going to play things, and it was just so awesome. I will never forget that night as long as I live.
Well, I sure wish we could have been out this year again after the European thing or before it. We're going to do some more dates. I wanted to get down to Texas, southern United States. We did the East Coast, we did the West Coast. Yeah, really. And, I wanted to get more to the Midwest too. There's some real great venues there and a lot of good music loving people. And
Well, we have to talk because, Southern California is like,
that's your stomping grounds. But, the concert you want in your garage, it's not going to happen, Dyanne.
Well, actually, I was hoping to put you guys all out in my patio.
There you go.
Everybody can have a chance to hear this great sound. And come over, and we end up having this big party with barbecue and, just do it up.
And I'll get my first two managers to pay the bill. What do you think about that? Like it, huh?
Absolutely brilliant. You know what? Buzz has one other question that I didn't even get to yet. And let's see. Buzz says, as soon as I get in here, okay, does Third Impression really include the last piece you wrote with Keith? Might there be more?
Yeah, and I've said that it's the last one, and people probably think, oh, he's got other stuff tucked away. I have stuff on rehearsal things for three, Keith, Carl, and I, that maybe was never heard before. But a real song, something we actually worked on. This is it. I mean, it's sad for me. It really is. That's why I'm saying this is not only the last song, the song Never, which is almost 10 minutes, the last song Keith and I ever worked on. It is also the last three album in the style, because I feel like I can't do it without Keith, at least some ingredient. And now, Emotional Trigger was something that he and I talked about too. He just liked it the way it was, but at least it was, he had his fingers on it, and Never is it. I have nothing else. I couldn't honestly do another three album, plus 3 albums for the band Three. It's poetic to me. It's been the best thing I've ever been able to do, the best guys I've ever been able to work with. It's rewarding, but I want it to be honest. So from here out, I mean, the next album I do will be a little bit more like a GTR album, probably the perfect blend of guitar and keyboards, which is what Asia is, right? Perfect blend of guitar and keyboards. It will head that way. As you can see by my writing, Fond Farewell, I am so inspired and impressed and imprinted with Keith and his sound that my fingers just kind of do that. The chord formations up. It's the really hard, fancy stuff that I can't do, but the big fat sounds, all the stuff that he's known for, and all that is part of my DNA too. So
Yes.
I can imagine, what I do in the future is going to have hints of that. But like I said, it'll be more like, I think, more like GTR. You'll hear some more Celtic stuff with Keith and I also share. I produced this band Tempest, who's fantastic, and Keith played it on one of their records. You'll hear that the first song on the new album is called Top of the World, and it's all along guitar, acoustic guitar intro, more Celtic. And the manager and I, Nick, we picked that because we want people to put that on and go, whoa, what? This is all acoustic guitar. What's going on here? And then they get through the album, which has a lot of the three style, and they wind up with Never. But it starts with this Celtic acoustic guitar thing just to change it up a bit. But no, this is the last song. Definitely. There's nothing else that I wrote with Keith that I have. It's sad, bittersweet. But then again, it's time that Three has the three albums to its name.
Are you going to start a new series of albums after this Three, The Power of Three, Third Impression? When this one has hit the streets and people are able to buy it, will you continue to put out albums that might have a little different genre? Not much, because I know you're prog, as many of us are, but maybe without Keith's, not Keith's, excuse me, not Keith's, not what Keith has, what you have about Keith's in your heart.
In me, yes, yeah.
Always stays. But will you write a little bit more on your own, kind of branching out with what you've learned from Keith, but what you have in your heart from Keith, but not necessarily with any of the music, is what I'm getting at. You continue on.
I think you'll hear that on this album. This is half like the rules have changed in the style, and half just whatever the hell I wanted it to be. And I'm hoping that the Three fans and ELP fans will come along with me and like it. Like the first interview with a guy like this letter off the last album. I go, what the hell? I didn't expect anybody to like that, but I had to do it. It was me. And of course, it was me saying, well, Greg got to do folk songs, acoustic songs. I'm going to do one, right? A little spoiled. Yeah. But I'm really interested to see what people think of the little bit of transition that's caused by this album, because that's where I sort of land on my own.
Because you have a style that is so, it's addictive. It's wonderful to listen to your changes and the way you feel and see things, and the way you write. It's fabulous.
Well, I appreciate that for sure. And I already put the one check in the mail. I guess I'm gonna have to do another one. Huh?
I'll be expecting those,
I'm sure you are.
I'll be checking that mail in a couple of days there, No, but it would be very exciting to start seeing, Robert Barry's and his band and have it's in your head.
Well, the Three thing is, it's funny because to me, like I said, I was half the songwriter of the team writing the songs, and I was the voice. And I feel like 3 is the real me. It's just that I've tried to keep the Emerson piece of it alive. But Keith and I both changed from the original 3 sound. We wanted more, I won't call it dance rhythm, but hard, tough rhythms, you know, in the drums, the beats, different than the first 3 albums. And we already made that transition together, which we sort of agreed on. You know, he liked Celtic music, he liked marches, you know, he liked the drums pounding. So we actually already made the switch to what is more me, because it was more him too. It's just that it had that Emerson style to it, you know. He put that thing that only he does. I mean, he puts these parts in and it sounds like him, you know. So it won't have that. But the style, I don't think is going to drift all that far.
It'll have some, it'll have you, and you know, you have your own skill and talent.
Well, here's the other thing. Now, we got December people, which I've been doing for 10 years, you know, and I do have a straight rock band called Alliance that I've had for, oh my God, 25, right from after 3, from 1992. There's more than that. Okay. So as far as my straight rock side, which I do like, you know, doing that because I like singers like Lou Gramm and Don Henley and stuff. I like singing that bluesier stuff. Gary Peel, David Lauser, myself, we're working on another album right now. And you know, you've seen the December People thing. Next year, there's going to be a new December People album. And we do that for charity every year. And hopefully we can play next year and do some good again. Right now, we're just giving away the Up on the Rooftop just for people's enjoyment and get some smiles on the faces. So, I mean, I would say every month I write at least 2 songs for something every month. And every year I put out an album within my career. I always give myself a couple weeks of studio time here that I don't have clients in, or I'm not working with a band I'm in, to do what I want to do for me. And yeah, I've been doing that right now. In fact, I have about 8 new songs written that are, I don't know.
Hopefully we'll hear some of those.
No. The 3.2 third impression is the most important thing to me right now. It's been a mission of mine, you know, and of course I only have 1 song, but it's 10 minutes to let people know, especially with the rules of change, that Keith still had it. He had not slowed down. He was still creative. He was involved in grand, cool music, and that flowed through his mind and his fingers. You know, it just it was something that's important to me because these reviews on him that he could play like he used to and all that stuff, they hurt me too because I knew it hurt him, and I thought they're damaging a guy that doesn't base his life on the ego of it. They're hitting him right where he lives, what he believes in with himself, you know. So anyway, I don't want to get too deep into that because it gets a little sad for me. But
you know, they started out their whole business with the songs that they chose to play wasn't based on selling albums. It was based on going to concerts and doing these songs in a concert. That's what they were going for, was sound in a concert. And that was very different. You know, most bands were playing for albums. And I think that Keith is being so flamboyant and amazing on stage. I've obviously posted a couple of pictures, you know, here and there, not many. And some of those pictures of Keith, you can just see it in his face and body language, how he is so moved by what he's feeling and what he's hearing.
He was also a goofball.
He loved to make people laugh, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was a goofball.
Yeah, funny guy. He really
I was
sense
just,
of humor.
I'll tell you, that was hard that day to get that kind of news.
I feel very fortunate that I got to work with him again. You know, we'd stayed friends through all the years. Like I said, I went be a part of his documentary and different things, but um, except for playing on a Tempest album and a couple things, you know, that were more like jobs for him. We hadn't done anything creatively together, and I feel very fortunate that toward the end of his life that I got to be part of it, you know, with him. And
That is very good.
yeah, it's just anyway. I don't want to. I'm getting all sad again. Anyway, we've been talking for a while here. I'm not sure how long this is supposed to go.
I know, right? I mean, let's see. I think we have one more thing from Ralph.
Well, that's okay. Rolf's a good guy. He
Um,
uh
and
he needs a job, I think. He just needs a job. He's just,
he says it has a very modern production sound. And I'm assuming he's talking about the emotional trigger,
I don't know.
right? I'm sure he's still there.
Is he is it in German? Are you translating? Or is that
No, it's coming across in English.
No, Rolf's here, by the way. It's Frank that's in Germany. I kid Rolf all the time. You got to keep these people in check, or they run away with all your money and your albums, and
Yeah, it's a whole album.
Oh my God! Oh, the whole album. He's saying. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. The whole album.
Um, I. It's hard for an artist, at least I think, to judge their own work. Like I wouldn't have put Fond Farewell out as the first single, and it was the exact right thing to do. The record company picked that. Um,
It was good.
yeah, I don't know. I feel really good about the recording quality, the lyrics of the songs. I like to write positive stuff. They're not all positive. A little bit of negativity in this one, or a little bit darker, but still not too bad. And I don't think it sounds like a throwback to what we do in the 80s. I believe that it has a fresh uh, sound to it, and people are going to like it because it is a little bit of a transition. I mean, three itself, Keith and I would have developed. If he would have been around to see how well the Rules of Change had done, he'd be totally feeling better about everything, because nobody would have been saying, well, he obviously isn't playing well. They'd be saying, oh my God,
Yeah.
Emerson's, look what he's doing, right? I mean, they said that about me, and I wasn't Keith. Just think if it was Keith, it'd be incredible. Would have been perfect. The timing was just a little bit 6 months too late, and I'm thinking that the same thing would have happened. We would have moved forward in some way. Keith had told me he wanted to get an orchestra involved. I would have tried to not do that, but that's expensive. Boy, talk about not making money in the music world these days. That would have been tough. But yeah, we would have evolved because Keith, he kept up with a lot of things. I mean, some of the stuff that I've have in even on this is almost heavy metal riffs that came from Keith. You know,
Yeah.
heavy stuff.
I mean, look at what Keith played in what is it called, the Boys Club,
Yeah.
and the way they did Nut Rocker.
Mm-hmm.
That's very heavy rock and roll.
Heavy. That's right. We all evolve until we don't, right? And that's the problem with some bands. They get to a certain point that it's just kind of used up. They're not inspired. I'm inspired. I mean, I see a lot going on that makes me happy, makes me sad. Um, I'm fortunate because the way I write is I have to finish a song. That's why I play so many instruments. I hear that the bass line needs to be this. So I'm going to write this, and these words are coming across. Oh, and if the drums did that during, and so it all kind of happens at the same time.
Mm.
So I get a lot of songs written, and I'm also fortunate that, I mean, I've done 2 songs in the last few months for this girl who's just started college, so she'd be 19. They're a little bit hip hop, Sheryl Crowish kind of things. It's new music, right? I keep up on whatever. I get to work with people because I'm capable of doing what they need, kind of. So I'm inspired every week by other musicians too that are doing what they love. It keeps me creative. Like I say, I'm never at a loss for an idea, and neither was Keith.
Yes, yes. Now, you know, Rolf has sent another message and he wants to know who's keeping who in check.
What, him or me? um, I'm not sure I should mention Rolf has a new girlfriend, so I don't think it has anything to do with me.
Ooh.
Anyway, now I'm really in trouble, but I had to say it. He probably knew it was going to come out sooner or later. People are going to know. He's very popular, you know. You know what I want to do, Dyanne, before we close this off too? I want to say that Rolf is incredible. There's Ian Tasker in England, incredible. These guys that are running the 3 and the 3.2 Facebook pages and things. William Haney, but there's one guy missing, and that Fond Farewell really could have used him. And in one way, the song could be dedicated to him is Ed Morgan. We lost him. Had diabetes bad, went to the hospital, a little surgery, and didn't make it through. And Ed was famous in his own right. Everybody knows Ed. He was the Otter King. He was a sweet guy. He came to the 3.2 tour because my brother-in-law and Michael, his good friend there in Florida, uh, made it happen. And we treated Ed like royalty. And I'm so glad that we got to do that because he was a wonderful guy. He won't be forgotten. During the Third Impression release, promo, the tour, hopefully next year, Ed will be with us. We just need him for the PR. So he's had to have gone to heaven. I mean, most of my friends are in hell, so I can't get a message to them because they're in a different area. But he's up there, and
Yes.
Here's the problem. I'm not so sure Keith went to heaven because I have stories. But you know, hopefully him and Ed are talking. But I miss Ed, and I wanted to mention, especially to this ELP fan base and 3 fan base, that Ed is not forgotten by any of us, and we cherish the memory and the positive everything that he brought to all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Frank says, let's see, rest Rolf when adults talk.
Oh, that.
Rolf says, Frank, let me see, I have to do a translation here. Frank, who are you calling an adult?
They both speak German, so yeah.
Yes, and of course Rolf says we miss Ed.
Yeah.
And Wayne says, just imagine what Keith could have done with an iPad and some of the new apps, some tied to Ludus, such as GeoShred with the SWAM, SWAM instrument, Psi. And then Wayne Campbell says, rest in peace, Ed.
I will say about Keith working with the new apps on the iPad and stuff, you could barely get an email back from Keith, let alone a text, or him getting on a website. He wasn't technology challenged because, of course, the Mo was hard to use, but he probably had nothing to do with that. Keith was a real player, and I just don't know how he'd have responded to all that. He'd probably check it out because they'd want his name and the product and stuff. Oh yeah, I see how it works. He'd never look at it again. He'd take that little tiny chord keyboard, he'd turn it around backwards, and he'd start playing it from the,
Yes, yes.
That's my theory anyway.
And then pick up the phone kind of guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Robert, I don't want to say goodbye.
Oh, Dyanne, we can do this again. Let's when the album comes out and people are either liking it or disliking it. I like whatever it is. I don't expect everybody to like what I do. I learned something if they are at least honest about it. And they say, oh, I didn't care for that. You shouldn't be doing that jazzy, emotional trigger song. No one into your jazz and rock and roll. Okay, yeah, that's great. I don't mind. I mean, like I say, not everybody's gonna like everything I do. I do appreciate it when people are kind about things, and I got to tell you, they've been so kind about Fond Farewell and the video and everything. It's been.
I'm not kidding you. The professionalism of the camera work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just the timing of everything.
Yeah.
Amazing. Absolutely loved it.
I know we have to go. I'll say one thing about the video. They sent it to me. Say that? What?
You know me. I would not say anything that was not true.
Oh, I know. No, you're mean. Come right down to it. You'd be very mean. But Fond Farewell, they sent me the video, and here's this guy dancing around, last guy on Earth, evidently. Everybody else in the space station, and he looked pretty happy-go-lucky, and I'm thinking, wait a minute. It gets all the way to the end, the space station blows up, and then he looks up and the girl appears. I said, but he looks happy the whole damn time. So I sent back to Frontiers. I said, I love this, but somewhere he should throw a chair against the wall or something. He's the last guy. He's got no friends. I mean, he should be unhappy. And they put in that scene where he's looking at that little monitor and the station blows up and he clicks it off. Like no hope, right? He turns it off. And that was genius on their part, because I felt the emotion of this guy just lost hope. And that wasn't in there to start with. And I'm like, wow, they got my viewpoint, and they did one thing, such a small scene that made all the difference in the world to me, to this happy-go-lucky guy that's skating around saying, oh, great, I'm the last guy on Earth, no big deal. But now that's because he had hope. And at that point, he has no hope. It was really cool he did that. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, well, I like that. And then just wrapping up here to say goodbye, we have Wayne that says fond farewell and great job. Thank you both for the interview. Brian O'Sullivan, thanks Robert and Dyanne. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Well, Happy New Year and Merry Christmas to you too.
Very cool.
And we have Rolf saying 10,000 YouTube views in the first week of Fond Farewell.
I wanted to add another 0 to that, so maybe we can get people to share that damn thing.
We will. And, next time maybe when we have our interview, maybe I'll be, back in the studio.
You never know. It's been remodeled since you were here.
It's been a while.
Yep, got a brand new board, and some different lighting in there, and I got a new guitar.
Did you?
Yeah, 131 now guitars.
Well, I want to see it. So maybe next time we do this interview at your studio and I come on down.
And is your daughter still in Pleasanton? Is that where?
In fact, she's a paralegal and executive assistant, and she just got a new job in a very large law firm, and she happens to be in Pleasanton. So
yeah, that's because you visited her last time, and that's what you said. Well, come by the studio. We'll show you the studio, right? Because you were, I think, driving back and forth. So
yes, and it was like for me, we've lived there our whole lives there in the Silicon Valley, and it was weird coming down here to Southern California at first, and now I just really love difference. So I remember the last time I came down for an interview, I totally forgot about traffic.
Oh, yeah.
That traffic at that time of the day, it just never stops. It always stops, actually. It's always stopped. And, it was just really surprising. And I don't know why it was surprising, but it was surprising to me. And I was just like in this panic. And, I'm just, my kids are, two of my kids are still there in San Ramon as roommates.
Very good.
And I'll be visiting them again here real soon. So,
oh, you're not coming down here that soon. Forget it. We just talked an hour and a half.
That's it. I mean, I think I would want to have my vaccination first.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah. And you know what? That's looking good for everybody. So I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And Dyanne, I appreciate your time. Merry Christmas to you. Yeah. I love it that the tree is behind you. You look great. You got your red sweater on, you're.
I've got my red Christmas spirit going on.
Yep.
And,
yep.
I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas, you and your family.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you from Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Titans of Prague. We all want to thank you for your generosity and the time that you take from a very busy schedule to talk to us and to let us get a little more insight about who Robert Berry is and the people that surround you. So
well, I appreciate that. I would be nothing, honestly, without the ELP fans, because that's what launched my career. So, I mean, I'd be playing in a local bar, right? That'd be it.
Well, we'll see. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that, but I do thank you very much. I know we've spent a lot of time here, but it was worth it.
We can't help it. We get talking, and there's just stuff to talk about,
Oh my gosh, Robert! If I was down at the studio, we'd be talking another hour.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I know.
Well,
I appreciate it. I sure appreciate everybody chiming in some questions. It was great. It was really familiar names and people that supported my career, and it really become friends. Even though it's on Facebook, on Instagram, or Twitter, whatever, it's still people long term, and that's pretty cool. I like that, and it's all within the realm of music and Mustangs, right, Frank?
Absolutely, and everyone, if you are not a member of the Titans of Prague, come on over and get your membership so that you can see this video or tell somebody else about this video, because I keep it in an archive library for the Titans members. So we definitely want to make sure that you would have access to this and all of our interviews. All three of the other ones, Robert.
Yeah. And Ian John Tasker over there in England is going to be all over this. So is he sleeping right now? Yeah, maybe,
Probably.
Yeah, he's been such a big supporter of mine, and a good guy over there that really helps spread the word. And again, and just another of those people that just become a good friend. It's amazing. Really, really cool.
Isn't something what Facebook does, and especially EOP and Prague? I call our site families members, not members, because we all seem to bond, and it's such a great feeling. It's such a great feeling, and even musicians like yourself that'll come out and say, "Yeah, let's talk."
Yeah,
it's awesome that you normally would never have.
Definitely.
I'd be selling papers on a corner.
You what?
I'd be selling newspapers on a
corner. Yeah, and there's no newspapers to be sold now. That'd be a tough job, huh? You think music stuff? Okay, well, we should sign off here, and I actually have a session I have to do to put some tracks in sent to me from Canada in a song and get them a mix. So I'm going to do that now.
Right.
And-
Well, Robert, we're going to say goodbye and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And we all wish you the very best on your album and your video. And we'll be talking next year.
Thanks a lot, Dyanne. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Humanity from a distant past, and now politics in an ugly disguise. It's what you get when you barely try. Having come to the end with a day.